All right, percent word problems. So quick review. Converting a percent to a decimal. If I have 17%, convert that to a decimal, I divide by 100 or move the decimal place twice to the left. 17% is 0.17. If we have a decimal within our percent, nothing changes. 13.1%. Move the decimal 2 spots to the left is 0.131. Let's take a look at a different percent. How about 131%? We move the decimal just 2 places to the left. So that would be 1.31. As you guys remember, 1 means our percent is 100 or larger. Okay. Last thing, what is 90%? Take the decimal and move it 2 spots to the left. So it's 0.9 or 0.9. We could write a 0 in front of these if we want. Whereas 9%, when we move the decimal 2 spaces, becomes 0.09. Alright, we're going to have to practice that because you cannot write percent in algebra, usually. You have to write a decimal instead. We'll be doing some problems from the homework tonight, just so you guys know. So if you write them down in your notes and you bring your notes home, your homework will be that much easier. Problem. What percent of 29 is 3? Oh, and like I said, I already told the class this, but I'm going to tell the video. You should probably have a calculator for this. Alright. What percent of 29 is 3? So the key with these percent word problems is just learning which things mean which algebraic expressions. Whenever we see what, that's going to be x. Whenever we see of, that's going to be times. And we're going to write times with parentheses. So x times 29, that's just simply the number 29. And then is equals 3 is 3. Okay. To solve this, we have x times 29 equals 3. We need to divide by 29. So x times 29 divided by 29 is just x. No. And then 3 divided by 29, this is why I said let's get out a calculator for today. 3 divided by 29. We're going to write 3 decimal places.
Calculators don't have a
0.103. So this is my answer. This is my x. There's a problem with this though. They said, what percent of 29 is 3? Is this a percent? 0.103? Not yet. Right? Not yet. So I'm going to move my decimal place back to the right 2 spaces. So that will make this decimal become a percent. 0.103 is 10.3%. If we're converting from percent, we move away from the percent symbol. We move to the left. When we're converting 2%, we move the decimal to or towards where we want the percent symbol to be, right? So we move to the right. All right, let's try another problem. Okay, this one says 41% of 78 is what? There's really actually nothing new here. 41%. Remember, when we write this in our equation, it's not helpful to write 41%. Right? We can't really use that information as it is. Instead, we're going to convert this into a decimal. To convert 41% to a decimal, I move the decimal place away from the percent. This becomes 0.41 in my equation. So 41% is 0.41. Of, we said of is always times. We'll show times with parentheses. Of 78. So that's what goes in the parentheses. Is equals what? X. The beautiful thing about this problem, we don't have to divide or anything. We already have X all alone over here. All we have to do is figure out 0.41 times 78. 41% of 78. So you take out your calculator, 0.41 times 78 equals, and we get 31.98. So they said 41% of 78 is what? Do I need to convert this number into anything? 31.98? Yeah. No, I don't, right? I already have, in these types of problems, as kind of a hint, there's usually just going to be 1%. So in this case, 41%, that's the only number that's going to be in a percentage. The other two will just be regular numbers. So 78 and 31.98. And I'm done. My answer is 31.98. We could rephrase this as 31.98 is 41% of 78. Right? 41%, that's just less than half. So let's just kind of think about this for a second. Does this number look like less than half of this number? Yeah, right? Half of 80 would be 40. This is less than half of that number. This is less than 40. Seems reasonable. So I like to ask myself that question at the end. Does this make sense? Could 31.98 be a little less than half of 78? Yeah, it totally could. Okay. There's really only one other way that you'll see these problems written, I think, pretty much, which is one is what percent of 52? Okay. So again, remember what I just said? Usually these problems will have one number that is a percent. When you look at this, is there a number that is a percent? No. So what are you going to guess about our answer? Or just read the problem, right? Yeah. in our answer, we are going to have to change a decimal into a percent because we want to be getting a percent as our answer. All right, let's just turn this into an algebraic statement. 1, okay, is, okay, what, okay. Percent we're going to deal with at the end. So we're going to have to remember they asked us what percent of, okay, 52.6. Okay. 1 equals x times 52.6. I have to divide both sides of this equation by 52.6 in order to get x all alone. 1 divided by 52.6, I can do that on my calculator. 1 divided by 52.6 equals 0.019. That's going to be enough for us. This number keeps going, but I'm just going to round right to there. Equals x times 52.6 divided by 52.6 is simply x. I'm not quite done because they asked me what percent. I want to convert this number to a percent, so I move the decimal to or towards where the percent symbol would be. I end up with 1.9%. And that's my answer. 1.9%. All right. I'm just going to keep practicing these. I think I lied. There's another type that we haven't really done. And it's like this. What is 12% of 17.5? We haven't done one quite like that. But it's the same exact process. Let's look at this answer. This question. 12% of 17.5. Do we see a percent in there? I see it right here. 12%. So our answer, do you think our answer is going to be a percent or a number based on reading this question? Yeah.
A number.
A number. I would agree with you. What number is 12% of 17.5? Think about it. If they asked us what percent is 12% of 17.5, we'd have the answer already, 12%. So we know we're looking for a number. What number is 12% of 17.5? I would almost rephrase this on my paper. You could even write, what number? And that'll help us remember at the end, we're looking for a number. Okay, let's change this into algebra. What? You can shout it out with me this time. Ready? What? X is equals 12%. 0.12 of times 17.5. 17.5. Look, x is already all alone. All I have to do is multiply 0.12 times 17.5. 0.12 times 17.5 equals 2.1. X equals 2.1. Do I have to convert that into anything? No. Because I remember that they're asking me what number. Okay. Does this make sense? We didn't do this on the last one, but I want to pause and make sure we do it here. You should do this for every problem. Could 2.1 really be 12% of 17.5? Here's another guideline. We know 50% is half. 10% is if we move the decimal over once. So 10% of 17.5, that's 17.5 divided by 10. That is 1.75. So So we're looking for slightly larger than that, which this makes sense. That's slightly larger than 10%. 2.1 could be 12% of 17.5. It's definitely less than half, right? It's definitely smaller. We know 12% is going to be smaller than that number. And just doing this quick check will save you a lot of simple mistakes, right? Oh, I just forgot to convert that into a percent, right? I did 12 times 17.5 instead of 0.12. So just ask yourself, could this number really be 12% of this number? In this case, yes it could. And in fact, it is. All right. You guys have